The first step in making our baked Alaska is to prepare our ice cream layer. And you want to do this probably the night before. It needs quite a bit of time in the freezer to harden up. And you need a bowl, and you want to find a bowl that's approximately the same size as the cake that you're going to bake. I'm going to make an 8-inch layer cake here. If you don't have a bowl exactly the same size, it's better to go slightly smaller, and then you can trim your cake if necessary to fit the bowl. In addition, you're going to need some cooking spray, plastic wrap, and of course your ice cream. You're going to need 3 pints or so of the ice cream. I've chosen a Neapolitan, and I also picked up a small pint of chocolate so that I get 3 pints of ice cream. I'm going to bake a white cake, so I wanted to add some additional chocolate to my ice cream layer. Now let's go ahead and put our ice cream layer together. To get our bowl ready for our ice cream, I'm just going to spray it with a light coating of cooking spray here. And then I'm going to line it with my plastic wrap. The cooking spray is just going to keep our plastic wrap from adhering tightly to our bowl, and it's just going to make our ice cream layer slip out easier. I've let my ice cream soften up, and now it's just a matter of layering our ice cream into our bowl here. And again, I'm just going to add some additional chocolate to my ice cream layer. And as I layer it, I'm going to use a spatula here to press it down a bit. We want to make sure that there's no air pockets in our ice cream layer. And we'll just continue to layer our ice cream until we get about 3 pints of ice cream. Once you've got your ice cream layered into your bowl, we'll just fold over our plastic wrap. I'll cover it with a little bit more plastic wrap here. And we're going to put it in the freezer until it's completely hardened, 8 hours. So it's better to do this the night before. Now we're ready to make our cake base for our baked Alaska. I'm going to start with just a white cake mix, and we're going to mix up the ingredients just a little bit here. I'm going to start with the 1 cup of water that the box calls for. The box calls for 3 egg whites. I'm actually going to use 2 whole eggs. We want to make our cake denser to help hold the weight of our ice cream. Then I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla and a half teaspoon of almond extract. You don't have to use that if you don't want. And I'm going to start mixing this up in my stand mixer. Next, the box calls for a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. Instead, I am going to use a 1/4 cup of melted butter. And I'm going to keep my mixer on a very low speed, and I'm going to gradually add in the melted butter. Now you could use a chocolate cake mix. You could use brownies, which is real popular. Anything that you want for your cake base, but you want it to be a little bit dense, like a sponge cake or a pound cake. This is just going to help make our white cake a bit denser. Now I'll turn up my mixer and we'll beat it for 2 minutes. I've got my batter into a prepared 8-inch cake pan. I greased it with vegetable shortening and I lined the bottom with parchment paper. I didn't quite use all of my batter. There's enough for maybe a few cupcakes if you want to do that. Now I'm going to pop it in a 350-degree oven until a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. My cake is cooled and I leveled off the top. It's really nice and dense. And I put it on a foil-lined baking tray. You want to put it onto something that you can put in the oven because we're going to brown our meringue when we get to that step in our oven. Now I'm going to put this into the freezer for a couple of hours. Make sure we get our cake nice and firm. Then we'll be ready to add our ice cream layer. Now we are ready to put on our ice cream layer. Now pop this back in the freezer and we'll whip up some meringue. To make our meringue, we need to break some eggs. We're going to use 8 egg whites for our meringue. you want to make sure your eggs are very, very fresh. When separating the yolk from the white, do it over a separate bowl. It's really important for the meringue not to get any egg yolk into the white, or meringue won't whip up correctly. This way, if you do get any yolk into your whites, you can just throw that one out and do another. To start our meringue, I've set up my mixer with the whip attachment, and to my 8 egg whites, I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of cream of tartar, and I'm going to whip this on a medium speed for about 2 minutes. My egg whites have really started to increase in volume and have become very foamy. Now I'm ready to turn my mixer up onto a high speed, and I'm going to add a pinch of salt, and I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar in a steady stream into my egg whites. Now we're going to continue to whip this until we get stiff, glossy peaks. My meringue is done, and you can see that it's forming stiff, glossy peaks. Now we want to cover our entire cake in our meringue, and you want to be sure to seal the cake completely. You want to go all the way down to the tin foil, because our meringue is going to act like an insulation, if you will, when we put this into the oven. I have the cake covered. I tried to make some nice peaks around it with just the back of a spoon. Try to make it as pretty as you can, but you need to work as quickly as you can so that the ice cream doesn't melt. Now I'm going to pop this back in the freezer. Yep, there's a lot of freezer time for this. For about 3 hours. You could actually do this the morning of and keep it in your freezer till right before time to serve. We're ready to brown our meringue. I've preheated my oven to 500 degrees and set my oven rack to the lower position. And as soon as I take it out of the oven, I'm going to flambe it. And I'm going to use a dark rum. I've got 2 tablespoons here, and you want to use one of these long-handled lighters. You don't want to set yourself on fire. A little bit about flambeing is you want to use a liquor that's over 80 proof, but you don't want to go to 120 proof like a moonshine or you'll blow yourself up. So cognac, some brandies, and rum are some more popular liquors to use for the flambe. So I'm going to put this in the oven just to brown the meringue, and then I'm going to turn out the lights and flambe it as soon as it comes out. Our baked Alaska is out of the oven. Now I'm going to pour my 2 tablespoons of rum over the top, letting it drip down the sides of my cake here. Turn out the lights, and let's see if this thing flambes. Just do this at the table. It's going to be a great dessert for your parties. I hope you enjoyed today's video on how to make this baked Alaska flambe. Please join our channel. We hope to see you back soon.